Burnout. So some of you have been in your PhD program for quite a while. Some of you are rather new. This is definitely a workshop that most students like to get early on because it is meant to help you find research studies or anything in the literature that you need to find in an effective way, and not wasting your time by running 10 or 14 or 20 different search strategies in the same search platform and having to look to the same outputs, duplicate output studies that you've already found in previous search strategies. So today you're going to learn predominantly to go beyond the use of Boolean operators. Anybody knows what Boolean operators are? And or not, right? And I think a lot of us probably, well, I can't say me anymore because I shouldn't use us because I don't do it anymore, but when I was starting a PhD student, most of my searches would consist of Boolean operators, putting keywords together, right? And that is actually a very ineffective way, Richard, come and join, an ineffective way for searching, waste a lot of time, and misses a lot of potential valuable research. Okay. So for a PhD, and it's actually, I'm going to talk really of the utility of this beyond, utility of your dissertation or class papers, but really as a future scholar, and as you propose, submit a grant application, you need to clearly identify the gap that you're addressing, right, with your research study. And you better make sure that you're addressing a gap. Because if somebody else has done the similar research and you don't acknowledge that person, right, and show how you're building on that research, forget about it. The rest of your grant doesn't even get read, right? So it's really important as a PhD student for your dissertation, but also as a future scholar, that you are able to find everything that is relevant, yeah? So having said that, the strategies that I'm going to teach you today are called sensitive strategies. They're really meant to try to find everything that you have to find. By doing so, you will also find a good amount of irrelevant articles. And I'll give you some examples about that. But so sometimes you need to decide, okay, am I really looking to do an in-depth comprehensive search? If so, what you learned today is really good for that. If it's, no, I just need to find 3 articles for a class that I'm teaching, and I want to find something current, then please don't do this. Just do a Boolean search, right? Or you just want to quickly find, you have maybe a client, parent who asks, oh, I'm wondering, do you have a good research article on the use of art therapy for attention deficit disorder? It's like, quick Google, search or a quick Boolean search. This is not relevant for that, okay? Now, so I would say, typical search strategy consists of Boolean searching. You're using keywords. Sometimes you might use some mapping. You might include related terms to try to cast a wider net. And most people use a limited number of databases, yeah? So this is typically insufficient for conducting a really comprehensive search because of a few reasons. One, human error in classifying of articles, and not just human error, but also computer errors in classifying articles. So if you only use subheading and keywords, those classifications in Medline or PsycInfo or whatever database you use happen through the keywords that were provided by the author and by the categorization that was assigned to the article. So let's say, so I'm a music therapist. I didn't put music therapy as a keyword, and I didn't have music therapy in my title or my abstract. Maybe I used music-based interventions for some reason. Then my article might not get classified under music therapy. So then if you look for music therapy, you're not going to find my article, yeah? If I didn't include music therapy as a keyword, it's not going to show up as a keyword, yeah? So when you select keywords, when you publish something, you don't only think about oh, what is the most important keywords of my article? But what are the most important keywords so that people who should find this article will find this article? And if you're a rehab scientist or physical therapist or in nutrition, you may not think to add nutrition as a keyword because you think, well, duh, I'm publishing in a nutrition journal. But you should add it so that it can be found. But because of all of these reasons, you may not find the articles that you should be finding if you only use keyword searching or you only use Boolean searching. So to give you an example, hold on, let me see here. Trying to see what I did. Okay. So if you look at what's in your search platforms, you can always look at the help or click on the help guide, right? And that will say you, when you select include related terms, it allows you to expand your original search criteria to variations, synonyms, and so on. However, if I did this for the word autism in Medline, now I ran this a couple of years ago, so probably the numbers are not quite accurate, but it doesn't matter. If you look ratio-wise, I looked for autism, did not indicate for related terms, and the hits that I get was 8,924. Then I reran the search, I did autism, and I selected included related terms, and I get 8,799. But that doesn't make sense at all because I should get more, not less, right? So don't believe what they tell you in terms of what clicking a little box will do you. Okay. So one thing that you probably have learned to use is subject heading selections or identification, and the abbreviation for that is MESH, yeah, medical subject headings. And it's kind of an indexing database that uses indexing terms and controlled vocabulary to categorize things under certain heading. Yeah. So for example, you need to find an article on stroke. Yeah. If you put in stroke in Medline as a subheading, let's say stroke is a subheading in Medline, you will find hundreds of thousands of articles on stroke, right? But you need to know that these MESH headings are specific to each search platform. So if you search through, if you search PsycInfo in our library, that is through Web of Science, I believe in Drexel University. PsycInfo has different subject headings for a specific disease than Medline has. An example I'm going to give you is cardiovascular disease. I forget which is what, but in one, either PsycInfo or in Medline, the subject heading is cardiovascular disease, singular. In the other one, it's cardiovascular diseases, plural. If you put in cardiovascular disease, when it's supposed to be plural, it won't tell you that it doesn't exist. It will just give you 0 hits. And then you're like, why is this not working? Right? So there's a couple of these strategies that are not always productive, you know. And so you need to learn to go beyond keyword searching or just subject heading searching. And that's what we'll do. All right. So in lots of our fields, I think we use Medline as a major database, but know that Medline alone is not sufficient. Yeah. By the way, don't use PubMed. PubMed has a horrible search interface. That's really good for Boolean searching, but beyond that, it's just a really waste of time when you're at a university and you have access to much better search platforms. Once you're out there, you have no more connection to university. That may be all that you have access to. But when you search Medline, and we will go to the library website, I'll show you how I search Medline. Know that to get indexed as a journal into Medline, it takes quite a bit of criteria that you need to hit before you're allowed as a journal. So I'm an editor of a journal. We have tried now 6 consecutive years to get indexed in Medline, and we still haven't been successful. Yet we have 5 issues per year. We're the leading journal in music therapy. It's very difficult. So if you have a journal with a rather low impact factor yet, maybe a journal in couple family therapy or even nutrition, or in our case, like many of the creative arts therapy journals are not indexed in Medline. So then you're looking only in Medline because you're looking for maybe the application of dance movement therapy with a medical population, and you're going to miss a lot of the art. So go beyond Medline, and I'm not going to tell you which. It really depends on your field. Like in our field, it's typically also PsycInfo. You may want to go to some nursing databases, but I'm sure for rehab science, for nutrition, it is quite different. What fields do we actually have represented here? So you are nutrition, nursing,
family therapy.
Oh yeah, family therapy, and
Rehab sciences.
Nutrition.
Nutrition. Okay, good. I haven't used nursing as an example yet, so I'll try to do that. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, just to maybe impress you with what a good search strategy can do and convince you that you should be using it. So this is a basic strategy. Let's say, so I'm a music therapist. I want to find articles on music therapy and autism. So I did a basic Boolean strategy. I looked for music and autism, then music therapy and autism, and I combined them. Yeah, I said either 1 or 2, and we got 222 results. Again, this was a few years ago. Then I did a much better search strategy. I used music as a subject heading, and I'll explain to you all of those syntax little things, slashes and dots. Music therapy as a subject heading. Music with an extender or an expander, meaning this could be musical or music king or music whatever extension you want as a text word. I combined, then I searched for autism. So I'm going to explain to you how to build a search strategy like this. And so the other strategy was 222 results. Now I have 282 results. Yeah. So that is quite a big difference ratio-wise, right? So if I then added, if I went beyond the word autism, and I really started adding PDD or pervasive developmental disorder or Asperger's or Bradt, it brought the total to 311 results. Yeah. So that's where we're gonna work towards. Okay. So as you get a little impression in the previous slide, what we'll do is try to make a combination of subject heading searching and free text searching, yeah, rather than sticking to keyword or subject heading searching. You, of course, you will use a search engine, yeah, and you will use a search engine's syntax to maximize your search strategy. Each search engine has its own syntax, yeah. The $sign is used in Ovid. If you look in PsycInfo, you're gonna have to use a little asterisk. Yeah, so I'm not gonna go for you over every search platform. I'm gonna give you an example in Ovid, but know that if you are in your search platform, typically on the right-hand corner, it has a help function. And if you click there, it's going to give you definitely links to their specific syntax. Yeah. The terminology that is used for specific syntax, such as an adjacent, or that's typically the same across platforms. So once you know kind of what you're looking for, it's easy enough to find it. Yeah. When I search Medline, and actually whenever I can, I use Ovid, O-V-I-D, as my main search platform. Drexel used to have actually most of the databases available through Ovid. Used to have Medline, PsycInfo, some of the other major ones. Now it still has Medline. I don't think it has PsycInfo anymore through Ovid. So that's a shame. Because, what did you say?
Is Sinal in there?
Sinal, I would have to go check now that they still have it in Ovid. Yeah, I use Sinal for my Cochrane reviews as well. So Web of Science is the other major platform. It is okay, but it's not as intuitive, it's not as easy to use, and it tends to run into glitches when you get a very large number of hits. And I'll show you that at some point you can get really huge numbers, you know, 1,500,000, and then Web of Science tends to freak out at that. Ovid does. Ovid can handle anything. So in general, what we'll do is create a search strategy that first will address terms related to your health condition or your phenomenon of interest. The examples that I'm going to give here are all kind of medical examples, but even if it would be another phenomenon, such as phenomenon of empathy or whatever. So think of the first is really kind of your phenomenon of interest. Could be a health condition, could be a specific population. Okay, so that's going to be the first section of my search strategy. The second section of the search strategy is going to have to do with interventions or the solution that you have. Again, so you can think wider than intervention research. The last section is going to have to do, if you want, with your specific study design. So let's say you only want to find randomized controlled trials, or you only want to find case series, you know. So you could really tell Ovid, only find me these particular studies, yeah? When you build a search strategy, you're going to build a very lengthy search strategy that really addresses all of these components. Sometimes not this one, as we'll discuss in a moment, but definitely these, all combined with different syntaxes that we'll use in one large search strategy, and you hit run your search once. That's it. And then in the end, you're going to have maybe 400 outputs that you're going to have to look to, but it's going to be 400 unique outputs. Rather than running a strategy as you may be doing now. So for example, with the autism and music therapy, that I do my strategy, autism and music therapy, 222 results. Oh, damn, that's not enough, or I don't see any articles by this particular researcher. Okay, let me rerun it. Autism and music therapy and pervasive development disorder. I run it, now I have 226 articles. Those 222 are the same that you already reviewed. You have to scroll to 222 that you already reviewed to find 4 additional ones. So that's really what we're going to try to avoid. Not having to review any duplicate strategies, yeah? Just one search. All right. So as I said, indexing terms or these subheadings might be different across databases. So a few other examples. In Medline, they use brain ischemia. In PsycInfo, it's cerebral ischemia. So I'll show you how to look for that to know, what you should be searching for. Yeah. All right. So in Ovid, you can put in a term and you can tell it to map it to the subject heading, as I'll show you in a moment. And a list like this will come up. Yeah. And now let's say I was looking for autism. You see, autism is actually not classified as such. It's autistic disorders. Yeah. Or I can choose child developmental disorders pervasive to include specifically Asperger's and autistic disorders. But you can see that it's a hierarchy, right? So you can click on these plus signs to have this drop open, and maybe an eating disorder, you don't want to have all eating disorders, but maybe you only want to have anorexia nervosa, for example. Yeah? So it allows you to limit or to expand your search. So let's go for a moment to the library website, and I'm just going to have to, let me just stop share for a moment. Oops. Let's see for a moment how to open. I should still be able to. Oh, sorry. It's at the top. I was looking for the stop share button because I just, for the people online, want to share the library's website. Okay, so I already opened up the library. Oh,
You gotta
share first.
Should be a little green button on the bottom.
I need to get to all of my. Oh, there it is. I have too many windows open on my computer. All right, so people online should see this as well now. So I already went to the library's website, clicked on databases. I already clicked on O to save us time. So here is where you find Ovid. Ovid SV is the general one that you can click on to see what other databases you can search through Ovid. But I'm going to go directly to Ovid Medline right now. Sit down for this part. Of course, I should have signed in already, huh? Okay. When you go into Ovid, you have an option to include all of their years. They started in 1946, or just more recently, yeah, from 1996 on. So I'm just going to choose a little more limited, the more recent one. Can everybody see the screen? Yeah. Okay. So right here, I can put in the search window. Let's say I put in autism, because we use that as an example. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to go into advanced searching. So did you, sorry, I clicked fast because I know what I'm doing, of course, but I clicked on advanced searching because then you'll automatically see that this is highlighted. Map terms to subject heading is already checked, I mean. That is what you'll do to find what a subject heading is. Actually, let's take an example of research interest. What is a population, maybe, or a disorder, or a condition?
Postpartum depression.
Postpartum depression. So let's just put it in postpartum depression. Now, if I do search, it's going to map it to the subject heading. Okay. And if I click on depression, postpartum, that's what the subject heading is, not postpartum depression. Okay. So you would need to know that. Okay. So if I click on that, it will show me even where that is located in the bigger hierarchy, okay? That's sometimes useful for you to see, oh, the bigger umbrella term is this term. Not even know how to pronounce it, puerperal disorders? Puerperal disorders, geez. Okay, or it gives you sometimes suggestions, oh, I guess I should also be looking for that, yeah?
So is that telling me that I would have to search by depression, comma, postpartum in order to get the results?
Yes, if you want to by-step this step, okay? So right now, I'm just gonna select it, and I'm gonna select on the top, it says explode. That will allow you, I don't think there's actually an explosion. Sometimes, for example, lactation disorders has even other ones underneath it. So then if you click lactation disorders, explode, it will grab all those other types of lactation disorders underneath it as well. If you only have one, it doesn't quite make sense to do that. But so now in postpartum depression, it's already selected. So now if you say, yeah, that's what I want that one, continue, it will search. It will allow you then to even say, oh, I only want articles about the history of postpartum depression. Or typically, I don't select any of this because the risk of things being misclassified is even bigger. So I typically just say continue. Okay, so there's 5,251 articles, yeah? So now in order to run that search, I had to do that, say map it, show me the map. Yes, that's what I want. So that's like 3 or 4 steps that you have to do. Now that you know, especially as you do multiple searches, oh, this is a subject heading in Medline, I would not go through all of these steps anymore. What I would do, or what you can write, is depression, comma, postpartum, because that's what it's called, and you use that slash. The slash means subject heading searching. Finding anything that is classified under that subject heading, yeah? So I, for example, when I look for music therapy, I don't do music therapy subject. I know music therapy is a subject heading. I do music therapy slash, okay, and it saves time.
And then just to reiterate, when you type, so you went to advanced, you just typed in on the search bar there? Okay.
That's it. That's all you do.
No,
Just got to make sure that little thing is clicked for mapping, yeah, or subject heading searching. But it automatically is actually, it's by default.
Oh.
I don't know if you unclick it a lot, then maybe then it wouldn't be anymore, but it's typically default. Okay. It's going to be a little hard that we're going to have to toggle back and forth. Can I actually toggle two share screens? I don't think so, right? Let me see if I can just switch to this one. Yes, because I don't want to have to go constantly stop sharing.
I mean, you can just minimize this and then open up the other because it's still picking up what's on your screen.
Okay, okay. All right. So the first thing that I just showed you is how to search for an MSH term. And then once you know what it is, to do a bypass by just entering the term, make sure you don't make typos, and do a slash. Yeah, that's your subject heading. The next thing that is going to be really useful, oh, and I talked about the explode function. So explode is good to use if you have a lot of subcategories that you want to make sure it includes. Otherwise, again, you have to go to that map, go select them all. If it knows that you want to just explode to everything underneath it, hierarchy-wise, it will just do it for you. Yeah. So I would just say, unless you really want to limit that your search is way too big, I would just use explode definitely to start with. And then you can always go look if you need to narrow it more down. Yeah. But the next thing you need to know is using free text searching and the syntax for that. The syntax that I'm going to show you now is specific to Ovid. It's a little different in Web of Science, but I can go there in a moment to show you how you can find it there. Okay. So typically, when you do free text searching, you're going to want to search for some of the important keywords in the title, in the abstract, and sometimes in all of the text. Free text word searching is different than keyword searching in that it's not looking just for articles that have this word as a keyword. It looks for articles that have this word in whatever you decide, title, abstract, of all of the text, even if that article did not assign that as a keyword. Does that make sense? So you're going to be more sensitive in picking up articles that are relevant to your particular area of interest.
So it'll also capture keyword.
It could, yeah, you could put a keyword term in it, but it's going to search for more of the text of the article than just, was this assigned as one of the three keywords, yeah? So the syntax buildup is the term, so you're going to use, for example, anxiety, and then you're going to tell the system where you want it to search, yeah? So anxiety.ab means look for anxiety in the abstract. It will only look for that word in the abstract, yeah? Or you can combine things and you can say, look for anxiety in the abstract and in the title, yeah? How do I know that title is TI? Because I looked at their syntax, I clicked on help, look at their syntax, and they have a whole table that tells you what is what, yeah? So useful two-letter codes in Ovid searching is AB for abstract, TI for title, TW for text word. And to show you a difference with Web of Science, there you're going to actually use for text word TX, not TW. So they are really different, yeah? But it's the same system. You have a term, dot, and then whatever you want to extend it to. AU for author can also be really useful, yeah? So those are some basic syntaxes. So I'm just going to take you through a couple of these syntax rules or syntax things that you should know about, and then we'll actually look at a search strategy. Yeah. Another really good one is an unlimited truncation. Yeah. Truncation means you're going to add something to the base of the word. So I look a lot for music improvisation, improvisational music therapy. So sometimes the word improvisation is used, other times improvisational is used, improvising might be used. So if I want to hit all of those, I'm not going to go through the time of typing improvisation or improvisational or improvising. For some words, you need to do a lot of, so instead you just write improv and you add your dollar sign. Yeah, so Ovid uses dollar sign, other databases might use the asterisk.
Can you put the dollar sign before?
No. So hold on, we'll get there. You can do a limited truncation where you say, okay, I don't want, for example, I want to extend dog. I want you to look for dog and dogs, but I don't want you to look for dogmatic or dogma or whatever starts with DOG. Yeah. So therefore, you don't want to use dog dollar sign because then you're going to get dogma and dogmatic. And so to limit it, you can say, I want you to use dog and extend it by just one letter. Any combination. So you need to think a little bit. You need to know your literature, like what are some other extensions that might be used for that particular word. Now, your question about can we use a dollar sign earlier? No, you're not going to use the dollar sign. Dollar sign is used at the end. But in between, you can use the mandated wildcard, which is super helpful for plurals in this language. In my native language in Dutch, I don't think I would use it a lot because we don't have this, but in English, woman and women. Yep, so now you can put the dollar sign here. It's going to look for woman and women. Mandated truncation means there needs to be a letter there. There needs to be something there. Yeah, and whatever variation of that word it can be. If you want an optional wildcard, that is really, really good in British and American English situation. So you can think about anesthesia, with an E without an E, gynecologic, color, neighbor, you name them. Yeah.
So is there a way to search for anything before your term? In the sense of like, there's a lot of confusion for me when I search for postpartum depression, because some refer to it as peripartum depression as opposed to even prepartum depression. So is there a way I can put in postpartum depression, just not specify pre, post, or peri?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I think you're going to have to spell it out.
Sure.
Yeah, there might be. You can check through. I've never used it myself, so that may be why I'm not aware of, but I'm pretty sure in the syntax options of truncation and wildcards, I don't think I've seen that. But you should look. Yeah, again, if you click on the help and this is the kind of, I actually copied this just from the table in Ovid. This table is much longer. I'm just showing you the main ones, but there's definitely other ones. So there might be something in there.
I'm not totally clear on the difference between the number sign and the question mark, when you would use one versus the other.
Oh, yeah, in this case, well, the dollar sign is used at the end, so you couldn't put $1 here. So in order to have the different spellings, you need to use the question mark. Your question is probably, could I put a question mark here?
No, the difference between the number sign and the question mark. So the mandated
the
wildcard or the optional wildcard.
This is mandated. This is not mandated. So meaning, if I would put the number sign here, it wouldn't pick up the word anesthesia spelled without an E, because you are saying there needs to be a letter there.
Oh, okay.
So the number sign means there needs to be a letter there.
Oh, okay.
Question mark is there could be, but there doesn't have to be. Yeah?
Can you combine in the same word? Because I'm thinking about improvise is sometimes spelled with a Z or an S.
Yes,
Of course, you could just put the $sign down.
Yeah.
But like, could you put the mandated wildcard followed by the?
You're really testing my knowledge.
Yeah. Or could we do that like
I love it.
improvise?
I have to tell you, I've been giving this workshop
Right.
here for what now, 8 years or 9 years, and you're asking some really good questions. I have not tried that. So here's my task to you, try it and let me know so I can let people know next time. But I think the easy solution is just to move your $sign over one.
Right, for that word, yeah.
But it would be cool to try it.
Maybe improvise and then
Exactly, that's what we're saying.
Right.
So just
But I
move
think
it
there might
over.
be another situation where that, like that, yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
All right, So you'll see also in my search strategies that I'll often use or/1 through 7. So we're going to build a long search strategy, right? And I might have 6 or 7 lines related to search terms just having to do with my population of interest or my symptom of interest. And then at some point you're going to want to combine all of those to say, okay, find me articles on autism or autistic or Asperger's or, and you don't want to have to type 1 or 2 or 3 or, the typical Boolean search. So a shortcut for that is to just like or/1 through 7 or and/1 through 7. So it's going to do the same thing as that. It just makes it much faster. Yeah, especially if you have 20 search lines that you want to combine, that saves a lot of time. Yeah. And then the final one that I want to show you is the adjacent. The adjacent or the approximator is a positional operator is a really, really, really useful one. I use it all the time for my search. It is basically going to tell the search platform to search for an article that has a particular word in proximity to another word. Yeah? And you can tell it how far or how close it needs to be apart or could be apart. Why could that be useful? So for example, if I look for articles related to head injury, brain trauma, brain injury, brain damage, yeah, I could create a new search line and type out all of these words, right? I can't do it with the other truncations or with the mandated card because the words are too different, right? And I don't know in a particular article in what kind of combination they're going to be used. Are they going to use head trauma or head injury or brain trauma? So I try to think of a search term, let's say brain trauma, and I'm trying to think, okay, so you need to know the literature a little bit, of course. What other terms are often used? How can I now combine that in one search line to save me time and to not have to read, tons of different articles? So try to follow me here. Yeah. I'm going to tell Ovid to search. I'm just going to give the big chunk first. This, what is between brackets, in adjacent, I'll explain the 5 in a moment, adjacent to any combination of these words. So any combination of these words, so either head or brain, adjacent to any of these words. Yeah. Notice that these words are separated by or, not and. Yeah. It's head or brain close to injury or trauma or damage. And I'm telling it, make it adjacent 5. So within 5 words of each other. You can make it closer within 2 words of each other. Yeah. But you may want to say, especially if you look in an abstract, this is probably not the best example, but let's say the abstract doesn't use the word head injury, but injury to the head, right? So now, or I think you would have depression following postpartum. That doesn't make sense, but so you know what I'm going for, right? So you can choose, make this a 3, make this a 5, make this a 7. How do I choose that? Kind of randomly. I'm trying to think of examples where it might be separated by a few words. Yeah. So an adjacent is a positional operator. You can go up to 99 words, which of course you would never do, I think. But this is a huge time saver, as you will see in some of the search strategies that I'm going to give you. Okay. We already talked about title and abstract.
I don't think it does based on your previous example, but does the order matter in the adjacent?
No, not at all. That's actually a good question. You guys are really giving me good questions. I don't think so. It doesn't make sense because it just tells you it needs to be adjacent. It doesn't say prior to, or what I was thinking about, it might be good to look in the syntax table if you have the option to say prior 5 words of, I actually don't know because I typically just use the adjacent. So we talked about title, using title and abstract. So you can use a single word. So syntax searching is very specific. You cannot make typos, you cannot add spaces where there shouldn't be spaces, you cannot use commas where it should be periods, or it's not going to work. So to do this, you need to have the word period, no space, title or abstract, TI or AB, comma, no space, AB, period. Yeah? So really follow the syntax very closely. You can also have a combination. So for example, liver or lung in, and this can be as long as you want. This can be 10 words, liver or lung or heart or whatever in the title or the abstract. Yeah? What do I have here? Overview to the term from the first set, liver. And let's search for it through only the title. Oh yeah, if you have, for example, one liver, title, abstract, and then you ask it to only run one through the title. In this case, you only type one word. You can as well just type liver, title. But if this would be a long combination, something like this, and then to say, you know what, I ran it through title and abstract, I get 6,000 hits. I don't want to do this. I want to limit it and only run it. So rather than retyping all of those words, you would just say, can you run number one, my search number one, only through the title search. Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm. So the comma is for and, title and abstract?
Yes. Yeah, to looking both. Now, that is kind of similar. I just wanted to say that you can also use one adjacent 5 2. So you will see in a search outputter, as you create a whole search strategy, you're going to get a line in your history. 1 is the search that you run. 2 is the next search that you run. I mean, index or syntax that you run. And then you can say, oh, take 1. Maybe you search for in 1 heart or lung or liver as a text word, And then you ran anxiety or stress or something as a text word, yeah? So now you can tell it, grab that first line, grab that second line, and search for those words adjacent to each other. Yeah? Again, just saving time than rather having to retype all that. But let's look now at a search strategy. So this was done in Ovid. This is for one of my Cochrane systematic reviews. So this was for music-based interventions for preoperative anxiety, just so you have a little bit of context. So I first built a whole search related to preoperative or pre-surgical anxiety. So of course I ran exploded anxiety as a subject heading. I ran stress as a subject heading. Panic and fear, because all of those are subject headings in Medline through Ovid. Then I looked for text word searching, and we didn't talk yet about this extension. The text word is the same kind of extension as AB or TI, except it's going to look for that word anywhere in the text. Now be careful using that, because anywhere also means off the list. And for me, that's a problem, because in my Cochrane searches, Cochrane do you all know what Cochrane is? It's a big international collaboration for systematic reviews, for meta-analyses. It's actually top international collaboration. So they have very strict criteria for how you run your searches, and it needs to be as sensitive as possible. You need to submit your search strategy to them for their approval. And so mine are all around music. And so I included words such as, or a whole line, sing, song, songs, anything related to singing, yeah? And ran that as a text word, because they want you to use a lot of text word searching to make sure you don't miss anything. And I got, 8,000 something hits. And when I was done with the whole search strategy, when everything was narrowed down, 8,000, then I complained, and I was like, I don't want to look through 8,000 abstracts. You know, the problem is, I said that song and sing is picking up a lot of Asian authors with the last name Sing and Song. Can I get rid of this? And I said, I have a solution already. I'll just say, find all these articles, but not sing or song as an author. And I said, no, you can't do that, because what if sing or song as an author wrote an article about music or yeah. And they told me 8,000 is nothing. And they actually have a formula. 8,000 abstracts is going to take you, I forget what they said, 4 hours to scroll through. It's really not that bad. So they make me do it. Anyway, so that is what text word searching does. Text word searching is really good if you truly don't want to miss anything, or for articles that are, you know, maybe your phenomenon is quite rare, you know there's not a lot of research. Sometimes limiting your searching only to the abstract can be a little problematic. Oh my goodness, we're out of time already?
Got 10 minutes.
Okay. Can be a little problematic because it might not, the author may not have used a particular word that you're thinking of in the abstract, but it might be somewhere in the text. So I would say initially limit your search to title and abstract searching in terms of text word searching, you know, and see what comes up. And if not enough comes up, you can expand to text word searching. Yeah, text word searching is definitely going to give you many more hits, but it will also have not relevant hits. It might be an article about men dealing with something, and maybe in the conclusion section, they compare it to postpartum depression, right? And so that would come up, but it's completely irrelevant to you.
Will the text word look in their reference list as well, or does it stop before
No.
it gets archived?
Pretty sure, not reference list, just the actual manuscript text. Okay, so text word searching, you can see that I use the adjacent here and the or, yeah. More abstract searching for anxiety, more text word searching, but for anxiety, we also then looked in the abstract for anxiety just by itself. We looked for sedation or sedative, because that's typically used in preoperative anxiety, and so on. Then we combined line 1 through line 7. The biggest mistake that students use when they start using more complex search strategies is that they don't use the Boolean operator correctly, and they use and here instead of or. If you use and, you're going to get very, very little, because now you want articles that and are listed as anxiety, and they're categorized as stress, and they're categorized as fear. You're not going to get much. Yeah. So if you suddenly get only 5 articles, you did something wrong. Okay? So this is my population or my problem. I had to connect this to surgery to make sure I'm not just getting general anxiety articles, but it's connected to anxiety related to surgery. Okay. I don't really have time, unfortunately, to go through all of that, but this is doing the same as this. And this PowerPoint will be shared with you, so you can look at it very carefully. I combined all the surgical stuff through or as well. Yeah. Now look what I did here in line 18. I combined 13 or 17. 13 was all the combinations of anxiety. 17 was all the combinations related to post-operative, operative, or sedative kind of stuff. Now I'm going into my intervention. It's all kind of combinations for music, subject headings, adjacent text words, searching, yeah, all different things that I think will be important for articles that I may want to look at. I combine them with or, and then I still have also my whole section of the type of designs that I want to include. This is definitely something that initially in your search I would delete, because you want to see what's out there. But then if you have 4,000 articles on your particular topic and you want to do a systematic review of randomized controlled trials, you would have to put a filter in there. This was given to me by Cochrane. This is a standard filter that they use for looking for randomized controlled trials. What I really want you to then, and these were all combined in or as well. Now it gets a little more complicated. Now I want to make sure that I only get human subject studies, not animals. You can say, I want only humans.sh. Actually, in Ovid, there is a box that you can select. I want only human research. Yeah, and if you click that and search, this would show up. Then it says, I want 33 and 34. So all of these randomized controlled trials, but they have to be with humans. Yeah. Now the interesting thing comes. So look what I have here. Over 500,000 articles. Of course you don't want to look at that, right? Yeah. Now I'm going to really limit. I'm going to take line 18, which was the line that combined all the anxiety and surgical, so my whole population searches. I'm going to take line 25, which was just above here, which was all my music intervention related search terms. And I have 35, which is all of my randomized controlled trials and human subject search terms. And I say, take that line, combine it, force it with all the studies that you found in 25, combine it with all the studies that are listed. So now I'm using AND because I want to make sure you only give me the outputs that have to do with surgical anxiety and music and randomized controlled trials. Now I only have 89 studies to look at. All right, so we ran out of time. We will have to reconsider doing this as a Tuesday topic because I typically give this as an hour-and-a-half lecture so we can actually go to the library website. So I might not give this as a Tuesday topic and just give it as a departmental and open it up.
We can do that.
Yeah, because an hour is a little short to get all. I also thought.
It would be helpful for us to try as well.
Yeah, what I would say, and I'm available to you, try this out. If you get 700,000 hits at the end, or you get 2 hits and you know there's more, send it to me. I'm typically able to really quickly identify where something went wrong. So feel free to just email it to me. You can save in Ovid. Oh, one more before you go. Very important thing. Before you start this in Ovid, or if you do it in another search platform, create an account. Drexel is not your account. You need to create an account in Ovid so that now you can save. It will ask you, do you want to save the search strategies? You always say yes, because you may go to your professor, your advisor, and they say, oh, you should also have looked for. You don't want to have to retype all that. You can go and you can edit it, and you can insert a line, delete a line, change a typo, whatever it might be. Or 2 years from now, when it comes down to publishing your dissertation, you want to run an updated search to get the most recent. You don't want to redo this. You just now tell it, run it from 2020 to 2020.